When they wrote the Constitution, I mean, there was a lot of safeguards in there to keep the government in its place, but still it wasn't enough for a lot of people. They wanted more safeguards in there so that nothing could happen, that someone could take your firearms or disarm you in any way. So they come up with this. This is a preamble to the Bill of Rights. Now this came into being 1789. So 1789 they passed this. I want you to look closely at this. I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more so that you understand that the government is forbidden. They are forbidden to mess around with your firearm rights. The conventions of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuses of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses, get that in your head, people, that declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the benefit ends of this institution. Now, the first 10 amendments that they put in there, you got to remember this. This is to restrain the government. Period. I wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be no goof-ups. No goof-ups. What does this say? A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We've been through this before. The Second Amendment to the Federal Constitution recognizes that this God-given right to keep and bear arms is to be free from any interference whatsoever from the federal government. Accordingly, the federal government is nowhere in the Constitution granted authority to abridge, restrict, or infringe in any fashion whatsoever guns and ammunition. Thus, all restrictive laws made by Congress and all regulations made by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms are unconstitutional as outside the scope of powers granted to Congress and to the executive branch by our Constitution. Restriction of arms and ammunition is not one of the enumerated powers that was delegated to Congress or to the executive branch. Constitution, the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be in agreement with it, or it's impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. All laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Marbury versus Madison. Where rights are secured by the Constitution, and this is what we're talking about, where rights are secured by the Constitution, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which will arbitrate them in any way. Miranda versus Arizona. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it. Now, if your judges and stuff don't know the law, it's time to get rid of the judge. Now, see, that's another thing. They got these so-called constitutional lawyers up here in Washington, D.C., saying, oh, yeah, this is okay, this is okay. It isn't. They didn't study the Constitution. What they did, they studied what other judges said about the Constitution, making that judge the law and not the Constitution. Now, if you have to, get yourself a class action and go after these people. They are forbidden. When they passed this extra stuff to restrict the government, they wanted to make sure there would be no misconstruction or abuse of the powers. And that's why they put these restrictive clauses in, so that the government would keep their dirty fingers out of our business. This is a land of freedom and liberty, and they're trying to restrict everything. That's not government's job. Government is supposed to be for the people. The people are in charge. They're the one that gives power to the government. All you have to do, get yourself a bunch of people. I mean, what do you pay now for Guns of America or NRA or other stuff for dues? Get a bunch of people together. I mean, millions of people. Take this to court. Have all these restrictive laws gone. They're null and void to begin with. You know it, I know it, but apparently Congress doesn't. They want to hold this over your head and cause you more misery. And they are not in business to cause misery. Okay, that's about all I can say right now. Like I said, I wouldn't put this up again if everybody would just remember, they have no right. They don't have the power or the authority. It wasn't vested in them by the Constitution. The convention of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting this Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added. September 25th, 1789. They're messing with your rights. Don't let them. Thanks for watching.